you'll consistently get pushback on your ideas. So think about if you're bringing a marketing campaign idea to life, you might have certain plans that you'd like to put in place for the next 3 months, a roadmap. You might get pushback on it. If you're in sales, think about when you're getting objections. That's the biggest one here. So that's what we mean when we're talking about pushback in a sales context.
Yeah. The more aware of yourself you are, you know how your face can represent something. You don't want to use too big of a smile when someone's got a really bad energy, right? Because that's going to be just all sorts of messed up, right?
Yep.
They're going to think that you are making fun of them. They're going to, what's
Not
so
taking
funny,
it
you know, like they're going to
seriously.
get even more defensive. So this, what we're talking about goes well beyond just smile, right? It's so much.
Diffusing pushback in any conversation you have in your life.
Welcome to the Marketing Mentors podcast, brought to you by Red Pandas Digital. I am Tasha, joined by, again, yes, the lovely Linda, who's now engaged.
Woo! Off the market. Well, I have been for 4 years, but anyway.
I was about to say, this wasn't happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Linda, like, I said it in our last episode, which you weren't here, but I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Big milestone. Mind you, I did see a meme today, which was like, marriages are like pancakes. Sometimes you have to throw the first one out. when
Oh,
it gets
God.
burnt.
Let's hope I don't have to follow that rule.
I'm also married, so I also hope that meme's not true.
You haven't
but
thrown the pancake out yet.
No. I still got my pancakes. Definitely
Yep.
not burnt yet. But but it was like obviously some divorced Facebook friend I have
Yeah,
on my
for sure.
feed. And I was
Someone
like,
depressed created that meme for
Pretty
sure.
funny. Anyway, moving right along, what you just said is very intriguing. Say it again for me.
Okay, so diffusing pushback in any conversation you have in your life.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So we all get a lot of pushback, I think, all over the place. Firstly, we definitely want to do a real big shout out to Marcus Sheridan, who is a business partner here at Red Pandas. He is a author, writer, speaker. You can find out more about him online. I can link to it in show notes. But Marcus had a LinkedIn post a little while back, and it was along the lines of the three step secret to diffusing any pushback for leaders and sales teams. But what he actually talks about in that article is that you can use those tactics in any conversation you have in your life.
And we're also very lucky as well, not just the article, which is obviously available publicly. Everyone can go and find that article. We were very lucky to do a communications workshop with Marcus when he came down to Australia late last year.
Yep.
And so this was just one tactic that he shared in a bunch of tactics, but it's just so powerful. We can definitely spend a whole episode talking about this one tactic because you can use it at every point across your life.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's in a work setting, a personal setting, you get pushback everywhere with your partner, with your colleagues, with your clients. There's always pushback around. So you can use it anytime.
Exactly. What we're going to talk about, though, is like when to use it and then how, and give some examples, because it's very easy to misinterpret it. And if you don't have a good awareness of your own emotional intelligence, if you will, and maybe that of the person that you're using it with, it can be 100% backfired and not work very well. And you might come across as insensitive or arrogant. So definitely like take it with a grain of salt, play it out. This is where role playing, which we've talked about before, role playing is really powerful because you can try these things out. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't mastered this with my partner. I think I think that's a lifelong lesson that you're trialing.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think at the core of everything, and I'm up to habit 6 in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Effective.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It's a great book. I 100% recommend for anyone. I'm audio listening to it. And one of the things he talks about is just being genuinely curious, have good intentions, be empathetic, seek to understand. If you have those intentions in your heart, this stuff is not actually going to backfire.
Yeah.
So if you can have that awareness that you're coming from a place of love and care and genuine curiosity, this won't backfire.
So true.
Right?
Yeah. The intention has to match what you're saying here.
It has to. It really, really has to. And you can't be a smart ass about it either. Like we're gonna go there in a moment.
Yeah.
But it's just it'll come out.
And to be honest, you probably do feel like a smart ass when you're practicing it for the first time. Yeah. It's hard to actually nail. Like it actually weird. Takes work to practice, because if it's not part of your normal conversations or vocabulary, the way that you speak in that way, it can come across a certain way. So you definitely have to just fill it out.
It's
a
like
little bit
all of the
first.
authoritative, tactics, Linda, that we've learnt over the years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, remember how weird it was when we stopped asking, "How are you?" at the beginning of calls?
Yeah, so true.
It was
Yeah.
weird, and it felt unnatural. Whereas now, it doesn't
It's
feel
so
weird at
normal.
all.
Yeah.
Completely feels normal. Like when someone does it, I'm like, "Ooh, why'd you ask them how they were?" Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Obviously,
yeah.
we ask people we know how they're going. We're not like assholes.
Yeah, I feel like you need to listen to a different episode to fully understand that one.
But yeah,
anyway.
we can come back to that another day. Let's get
Yep.
into what this communication tactic even is, right?
Yeah, yeah. Before we do that,
Yep.
before we go into the what, maybe it might be worth for people to just think about scenarios in which they find themselves in. So think of a specific scenario, and there's a few options here. So like if you're a
yep.
leader, right, you'll consistently get pushback on your ideas. So think about if you're bringing a marketing campaign idea to life, you might get pushback on it. You might have certain plans that you'd like to put in place for the next 3 months, a roadmap. You might get pushback on it. So think of those scenarios. If you're in sales, think about when you're getting objections.
Mhm.
That's the biggest one here. So that's what we mean when we're talking about pushback in a sales context.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the product that you sell, think about it in that context. And then, of course, we said personal life. That's a harder one to crack.
Yeah.
When you're getting pushback from your partner.
Or your 3-year-old, like
Maybe they don't want to go to the same restaurant as you. We can talk about this.
I'm gonna try this tonight with Zoe. Like, you want marshmallows for dinner?
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
We'll get into this. All right. So let's talk about the what.
Yes. All right. So Marcus talks about SRD: smile, repeat, and discover. That
Yeah.
pushback point.
Yeah.
SRD. So if someone says something, it's a pushback to you. We want to smile, repeat what they've said to us, which is showing that we are seeking to understand them,
Mhm.
and then discover, learn more, unpack, truly get to the core of why they're pushing back on something.
And each one of these, if you haven't gotten it, it represents a certain step. And we'll talk about what happens when you miss a step. But when you get pushback, usually it comes with a certain energy. So the idea to start with the smiling is to push back that maybe negative energy
Yes.
that's coming to you.
Diffusing.
Exactly.
Yep.
And creating a more positive energy.
Yeah.
So that's the first step here. So the
Mhm.
smile.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, everyone's got a style, right? Some people's smile is more expressive than others. You have different types of smiles. You have really big smiles. You have sarcastic smiles. You have smiles where you show your teeth, where you don't show your teeth. There's all these different types of smiles. So just
Yeah.
try to be, the more aware of yourself you are, you know how your face can represent something,
Yeah.
right? So if someone's like, you don't want to use too big of a smile and someone's got
Yeah.
a really bad energy, right? Because that's going to be just all sorts of messed up, right?
Yeah.
They're going to think that you are making fun of them. They're going to, what's
Not
so
taking
funny,
it
like they're going to get
seriously.
even more defensive. So this, what we're talking about goes well beyond just smile, right? It's
Yeah.
so much bigger than just smile, Linda,
Yeah.
just smile. No, what type of smile is it? What's happening in the context for the smile that you got to give? So this is hard. Like,
Yeah.
it's emotional intelligence on a whole other level.
I think it's hard as well because your natural reaction is going to be to flinch or
Yeah.
get defensive. So
yeah.
that's the hard thing here, not flinching
Yeah.
and then actually trying to look like you're pleased to hear something.
Yes.
That's actually what's quite difficult.
And being genuine about it.
yes.
So we're not just talking about smiling. We're talking about like character change. You got to change.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that when you get pushback, you do tend to get defensive right away, maybe the first step, like if you're trying to implement this stuff, if you can train yourself to smile, the next step would be is like, okay, turning that smile into genuine feelings of curiosity and care. And that's why role play is important. Practicing these things with your colleagues and your family and your friends is important.
That's a really good point. Let's say sales is the easiest, and we're going to talk about examples and stuff. But let's say you're getting a price objection, right? If you're practicing that objection handling in role plays, then the way that you're going to react in a negative way is going to be so much less because you've actually role played that scenario before. So you know exactly what to say back.
Yep.
You've been in that situation before. You're not experiencing it for the first time with the customer in that call where you are flinching or negatively reacting to it. So the role play is actually so important because it can help you hone that skill to be more curious, but also to know what's coming and how to answer it at the same time. So you're in more control.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So smiling, don't flinch, look like you're genuinely pleased to hear the pushback that they're giving you and repeat their question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't have to, I think there's
Or repeat the negative phrase.
I was
that
about
they
to
said.
say, repeat that negative phrase. So I was going to say, you don't have to repeat exactly word for word what it is that they said, because then, 100%. Sarcastic smile.
I'm a robot. You don't want to be a
sarcastic
robot.
repetition. Like you're it's not going to work. It just won't work. So it's hearing the negative thing that they've said and then saying it back. So you are now smiling because you are genuinely pleased that they've come to you with something, because you don't want everything to be all peaches again. You like challenges. You want to be able to help people see, through these things. You repeat back because you are seeking to understand them.
Yeah.
You genuinely want to understand them and where they're coming from. So you might, like Linda said, repeat back that key negative phrase that they said.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into our discover part, the D, right? Which is a single question to get them to explain.
Yeah.
It should be very incisive. It needs to be a very effective question. Should we try and role play something?
Yeah, we should.
All right.
That's actually really hard to do, that last part.
It really is.
Because especially when you're in the moment and you're trying to find the right question to ask. So we're going to give some examples of like shorter questions that are so generic. You can just throw it out there and it'll take the heat off you whilst they keep answering.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about some.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the sales one. We start there.
Yeah,
you want to give it a crack?
Yeah.
So I might be the client in the call, and I might say to you as a sales rep, "Oh, you guys are just really expensive."
And then expensive. I've got to find the right tone there.
Yeah.
Can you see how the different tones can just like carry a very different meaning?
Yeah.
So I'd smile. Expensive. Tell me more, Linda.
Yep. So good. Yeah.
Or like, what do you mean by that, Linda? This is one that we've done, I think, a few times, right? And we get that pushback heaps. Oh, you guys are not heaps, but we get variations of this pushback. Let's do it the other way around. So now you're going to do the smile, repeat, discover. I think it's important that obviously people hear the different ways it can be done, different tones of voice. No way is righter or wronger than the other.
Yep.
That's a word. But we're going to try that again. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Linda, you guys are pretty expensive.
Right. Expensive. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Linda looked like she was ready to come at me. But your tone was good. If you're just listening to this, the tone was good. But like, it's hard. We told you, role playing is hard.
It's so difficult. All right, we're going to do it again. Ready,
one more time?
Tasha?
The same
yeah,
one?
you go.
Okay,
ready? I really like what you guys are offering, but you guys are just a little bit too expensive for us.
Expensive. I hear you, Linda. I'd love to hear more about what you mean by expensive.
Yeah, nice.
That was better.
Yeah, so much better.
So there you have it. A few examples of how to use your expensive SRD. And now we do have another one. I don't feel like we should do it. I think it's a recipe for disaster in the mood that we're at right now. But that's okay. I think if we can, there's still some really valuable points in here that can be taken away. Someone brings you a pushback. You're in leadership, you're in marketing, you're in sales, you're a coach, whatever it might be. Someone brings you a pushback. Lean into that pushback. We are hardwired to be defensive about things. I think it's just the way that humans are from the years of probably like back in the primal days where pushback, run, defense mechanism, go. No, we don't have to do that anymore. We can be curious. We can lean into the pushback, smile genuinely, find the smile that works for you, and repeat that negative part and discover, learn more, genuinely be curious, have good intentions about what it is that they've just said.
Yep.
And it is a game changer. It really, truly is. It makes it get you to a deeper conversation with the person that you're talking to quicker. You don't have to beat around the bush another thing that I've learned from the 7 habits is like you don't want to be imposing or trying to put your autobiography on someone. When you are genuinely being curious, all you need to do is listen, hear them out, and you will get to the core. That's where the coaching habit questions start to come out then, like what we were saying before. So if you lead with tell me more, for whatever the problem might be, there's, again, different levels to this. Someone saying it's expensive or that they didn't have enough time for their homework. I've like different types of questions.
Yeah.
Your child coming to you with a problem, your partner coming to you with a pushback, whatever it might be. You're going to start planning a wedding real soon, Linda. There's definitely going to be a pushback between you and your partner.
Yeah.
Because he's going to want one thing and you're going to want another thing. And this might be one of those instances where you do be curious about why he's saying no or yes to a certain thing that doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah.
And then when you go to that place of being like seeking to understand the other person, using a technique like smile, repeat, and discover, I'm not saying you're going to find a solution. You might not find a solution, but at least you've got a better understanding.
Yeah.
And you might be able to come to a better compromise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think as well, like we get hung up on the words a lot, but I think it's just more about the principles.
Yeah.
You know, like the smiling is really just to like think about the energy in the room.
Energy.
And just try and like remove that energy.
Diffuse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just change the
diffuse it.
trajectory of that negative energy and make it positive again.
That's why smiling's good, right? Someone's negative, someone's angry, smiling is good. Like I said, it can, grain of salt, depends on the person. Sometimes pausing can probably bring on a similar effect.
Yeah.
Pausing, leaning in towards the camera if it's a virtual thing. If you're in the room with someone, pausing, maybe taking a step closer to them, maintaining eye contact, not crossing your arms and puffing your chest out. Like the things that we do when we're defensive, don't do those.
Yeah. So you've got your energy, repeating the question or repeating the negative phrase, that really allows you a moment, and it also allows the other person to lets them know that you've heard them.
Yep.
Okay. And you're going to address that concern. And then what you say back, the discovery, right? Ideally, the way Marcus does this as well, like to be really good at this, it's really incisive. It's a single question, but just think about what you're trying to achieve here. Like if you've got a pushback and it's, you know, their tone is quite serious, you can say like, okay, I can tell you feel a certain way about this. Like, tell me more.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to keep it a bit longer as long as you just think about the principles of what you're trying to achieve. And then, of course, you'll get to a point where, you know, as Marcus teaches this, you can become really, really incisive and just have a single line question.
Because you pick up on the emotional awareness and level of the room. So you get to that point where you can just say one or two words because you've seen it, felt it, done it enough that one or two, you know exactly what one or two word to say in that moment. But I love what you just said about if you sense a more serious tone, maybe even a slightly more aggressive tone, that's your opportunity to use a smile, a body language cue, a non-verbal communication to try and deflect some of that energy and say, hey, Linda, I can 100% sense your vibe right now. I can feel you.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And I think the principle there is you want to move forward with like that human connection that you're building with that person. So by doing that very thing that you just did, that's helping build that connection and that trust. You know, the voice is matching the intent behind it. And that's the main thing here.
That was a good one. We saved that. The middle of that episode was a bit funny. Sorry, listeners. But you got the point, hopefully. And we love talking about this stuff. This is challenging. This is not easy stuff. We are fine honing and crafting our communication skills like word by word, tone by tone. So we definitely want feedback and would love to hear ideas. If anyone has any, hit us up on any of the socials. But what a wonderful episode, Linda.
It was nice to be back.
Bye for now.
Bye.